Right on. We're live.
All right.
Are you sure?
Good
Right now?
evening, everybody. This is Voyager 3 coming at you. We are here live to talk about and hype up New York Ninja, which airs later tonight at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Showtime Extreme. So we're going to be here talking a little bit about the film and the work that we did for the soundtrack for that film and some behind the scenes things. And Aaron has a lot of the formats of the soundtrack that he's showing off right now. So first, while people are kind of piling in the live here, hopefully we get a nice handful of people here. I'll introduce us. We have Greg Maston on drums. There you go. Yeah, because for me it's backwards. So we have Aaron Green on guitar. And my name is Steve Green. I play all the synthesizers. We are Voyager 3, and we are the band that scored New York Ninja. Again, it's playing tonight on Showtime Extreme, 2 a.m. Monday night, Eastern Standard Time. So set your DVRs or stay up late with popcorn and Red Bull or vodka or whatever your drink is. It's all good. Right, guys?
Right. And for the people like me who can't think ahead, it's like late Sunday night, 2 a.m.,
Yeah.
Technically it's Monday, but it's really, I still think of it as late Sunday. So
I know what
Steve,
you mean.
you're more mature than I am, and you can actually give it the right day.
Blog Jammer's on.
I'm kind of saying it both ways.
Shout out to Blog Jammer.
What's up, Blog Jammer?
What's up, man?
Yeah, Greg's manning the chat tonight. So if you have any questions about Voyager 3 or life in general or New York Ninja, ask away. And if we can answer it, we'll answer it. Pretty much.
We can answer questions about movies, music, actual science, hard science, astronomy, biology, medical questions, all kinds of things we can answer. Go ahead and feel free.
That's right.
Yeah, do you need to know how to hook your printer up to the network?
That's right.
Yeah,
you can answer that.
Anything you need to know. If we don't know the answer, we'll make it up.
That's right. And if you want to know how to get the best rich black on your printing, not just K only, because that's not bold enough. Usually you mix in some CM and Y as well, and you get a nice rich black.
Yeah.
I can tell you how to do that. I can give you a good percentage.
And we can tell you about rich black coffee too. We can tell you about all those things because we're three guys who love the coffee. So whatever you need.
Oh, shout out to the Phoenix brand, or that's not the brand, but the flavor is called the Phoenix for Just Coffee Co-op. I love that flavor, and it's only available sometimes throughout the year. So when you see it on their site, you got to grab it.
Can you describe it?
Oh yeah, it's a rich, bold coffee with a hint of orange and a hint of dark chocolate.
All right.
It's not overpowering. It still tastes like coffee. It doesn't taste like a dessert. That's kind of it's an undertone, of those flavors. And it's very responsible balance, and it is so killer. It's one of my favorite cups of coffee for sure.
I like it. I like the sound of it.
Trigger's on.
What's up, Trevor?
What's up?
Flat, round, and spun vinyl community. Look him up on YouTube.
That's right. Man, I didn't see what he got lately. I wonder if he got that Voivod. Trevor, did you get that Voivod? The same one that Greg got, which is you got Nothing Face, right, Greg?
Yeah, and it's a remaster for vinyl. It's you guys want to see it? You want to see how pink it is?
That means that hopefully it's not 441 and 16-bit is 24-bit for 48 hertz.
Steve, you know I don't know what you're talking about, right?
Higher res, man. Higher res.
We're not mature enough for that.
Look what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put the circle from my.
Perfect.
See how I did that, Steve?
Yeah. That's tasteful. That's very tasteful.
I just got Angel Rat just a couple of weeks ago down in Indiana at Indie
you
Vinyl.
two have the ones I want in particular. I want those two for sure.
My golden 3 for Voivod is Nothing Face, Angel Rat, and Outer Limits.
Yeah.
I would like to have all 3 of those on vinyl. But I will say that the latest 2 albums, The Wake and the newest one, which I'm blanking on, they're way up there for me. Like
Yeah.
they're a return to that era in my eyes. I'm sure everybody will tell me which ones are better, like their demo or something, you know, like you got to
Right.
go all
Right.
the way back to before anybody ever heard them for them to be any good. But hey, I love the new stuff too.
That's right. Hey, anybody out there listening right now, are we balanced fairly well? Because when we do V3 cast normally, that gets mixed after the fact, so it's very controlled. But now we're really actually live. So if somebody can't be heard or if somebody's too hot, let us know, and then we'll
Mhm.
adjust.
There's 5 people watching, and Trevor said he didn't get Nothing Face because it's an RSD first, which means it'll be released again. So I think this
Okay.
RSD version of Nothing Face is like 6,000 copies,
Gotcha.
which seems like a lot, right? For Nothing
Yeah,
Face.
for
I
sure,
don't
for
know.
sure. Hey, I hope
So
they
it
sell
probably
them
won't
all
be hard.
out. The
Yeah,
first,
I don't think it'll be hard to find.
right.
So
Okay, let's get back on track, gentlemen. We are here. We are Voyager 3 for people who don't know us, and we're here to talk about and hype up the fact that New York Ninja is playing later tonight, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Showtime Extreme. We are the band that scored the film. The film was originally filmed in that's too many uses of the word film, isn't it? The movie
No,
was filmed
listen,
in 1984, and right after the principal photography was completed, 21st Century Distribution Company, which is the production company that financed it all and made it happen, they went bankrupt. So right after that, it got shelved. It got put on pallets, many reels stacked up tall of film negatives, and it sat and it sat and it sat 20 plus years. Troma got it for a minute through acquisitions and things like that, and they were like, no, there's nothing we can do with this. So they passed it along. And then fast forward a handful more of years, then Vinegar Syndrome acquired, I believe, all of 21st Century Distribution's assets through like a buyout deal. Stuff like that happens behind the scenes in music and film all the time. So they had New York Ninja in their film archives, still unedited, just the takes on reels. So 70 reels or however many reels, tons of film canisters. And then in comes a freshly hired Curtis Spieler to Vinegar Syndrome, and he was made aware that New York Ninja was a film that they had in their archives, and he's like, really? It kind of interested him because he's already made films. He has a handful of independent films under his belt already that he's written, filmed, directed, edited, all that stuff. So basically, he kind of approached the owners of Vinegar Syndrome and said, "Hey, I'd like to finish this film. I'd like to make it happen. Can we do this?" And after a little bit of time, they said, "Yeah, for sure." So then that began the long process of first scanning every single reel of film to digitize it. I got to imagine that took months. I'd imagine.
and don't forget when they had all these reels that was without any audio, without any city sounds, Foley, no dialogue, no music, no nothing.
Correct.
And no script. They had no script to know what the movie was even about. They just had these moving pictures to kind of get an idea of what it was about, just kind of piecing it together, painstakingly piecing it together.
Yes.
Through trial and error. They tried a certain sequence that completely made no sense. And Curtis had to just go, okay, the only thing I can do here is to make my own story out of this. I'm going to read lips. I'm going to get people to come in and help me read lips and make the script from what I can think they're saying in the dialogue, and then fill in all the blanks and piece this story together with the best possible way to make sense out of the sequence of events. So
that's right. Yeah. Do you know Curtis said this too in an interview or a question and answer? Actually, he said that the only thing he had to go from was the slate. So everybody knows, take two, click, and they do the clacker thing. That's called a slate. So what that does is it inventories your shots, your sequences, and your takes of that sequence. So you can kind of go back and okay, this was the third attempt at that scene, and we're going to go with take 4 because that's the best one or whatever. So he only had that to go by. So he did put it together originally in their slate order. And he said when he did that, it just didn't make any sense whatsoever. It was like just garbled. So that's what Aaron just said, is that then he said, you know what? I just have to make my own film. I'm going to just edit this together the best way that I can with the footage that's there. Because also there were scenes that were just not finished. They just didn't ever finish them. Like, here's a perfect example. When you first see the ninja on that wall, remember, guys, the brick wall, and he's up there. There's supposed to be more of that happens. He jumps down off that wall and he starts fighting those guys, but the film ran out. Like, literally, it's not digital like we do now. It was literally a roll of 35 millimeter film. Well, those are only about, correct me if I'm wrong, about 12 minutes of footage that you get, I think, something like that. So the film ran out, and you can know that if you watched it. If you know about that stuff, you'll know that's what happened. And then for whatever reason, Curtis said they just never went back and continued that. So he had to edit it the way it is in the film, because you have no choice, because they did not create any new footage. I know some people online are speculating maybe, or some people have said, yeah, I think they did, new stuff. Absolutely not. The video portion that you see in New York Ninja is all 100% filmed in '84. Back then, you can see the Twin Towers in the beginning of the film, and the cars. There's no way to fake that, or unless you had a humongous budget and you're Steven Spielberg, but that didn't happen.
Right. So they went about putting together a voice cast.
Oh yeah,
filled with people like Don the Dragon Wilson and Cynthia Rothrock and Ginger Lynn and other people, and they said, well, we need music to go with this too. So they got the voice actors. They called us, they emailed us and said, hey, you guys think you could do this movie, this ninja movie from the 80s? Could you make a score for it? And we were like, yeah, we can handle that.
Well, that's what we were born to do.
Yeah,
basically.
we can. We could do that, with our eyes closed, which makes no sense, but whatever. And we said, yeah, we can handle it. So that's what we did. And that what was crazy is just when we started putting those ideas out to each other, and Steve was emailing these pieces that he had he'd watch the movie and sync up the music. Steve has a studio, so he would start putting stuff together and send it to us. And we were getting our ideas together, and we were going to get together in the practice space and write everything and get it all going. And then COVID hit, and we couldn't get together, so we had to write this album remotely and record it with masks on and stuff. So,
so this is a pretty natural segue here. Blonde Jammer had a question. So his question is, how did you write the album? Did you jam live to the film, or have ideas already that fit? Or did you kind of go, okay, we need some creeping tunes, a couple active tunes. So, maybe we can, I think Aaron was starting to talk about that a little bit,
Yeah.
So maybe we can just expand on sort of the process, especially due to COVID.
Normally our idea was we were going to bring a monitor into the studio and have the movie, playing and feel it out and just throw ideas out. What about this? What about that? And just, and some of the stuff Steve was already working on himself, but other stuff, we've always done that. Steve will come up with a song, we'll add our parts. I'll come up with a song and you guys will add your parts. And sometimes we'll write a song spontaneously together in the practice space. So we knew it was going to be a combination of those things. And Greg's written riffs before too, by the way.
That's right.
Don't take away Greg's
Don't
credit.
count Greg out.
Don't count Greg out.
I wrote a riff on New York Ninja. We won't tell you which one.
We could tell them.
Don't tell them. It's a mystery. I want them to figure it out.
But we couldn't do that. We couldn't get together and write the stuff together. So basically, Steve went to the Sixth Dimension or something where Buckaroo Banzai goes and fights all those bad guys. And Steve, who doesn't do any alcohol or drugs or anything, he did something psychedelic wise. He came up with, basically he put the whole thing like Atlas on his back and came up with all these tunes and all these structures. I mean, partly out of necessity, because Steve's the only one who could sync up his music with the movie. And create these like tracks that would follow everything. But how he did it on his own, I could never even imagine. I think it was staying up all night, for months in a row, and he would send us
maybe being in the pandemic, like that's
yeah.
never anything that's happened to any of us before. So it puts you in this other headspace. Like I remember driving down one of the really busy freeways in the Metro Detroit area, where normally it's always packed. And one day I went out because I had to go to the grocery store, and I went, and it was like nobody on the road. So it's like the apocalypse. So I mean, that puts you in a weird headspace, I think. Probably all these things coming together. But to answer one of the other parts of Blog Jammer's questions is, he was like, did you guys like have in mind, like, we got to have this type of a song and this kind of a song here? I would say the answer to that would be no. Because basically what happened is, after, I guess I'll say this, I think I've said this before on like in other interviews or our podcast, is the whole entire film was written to the film, with one exception. The track The Ninja, which is the very first track on the album, I wrote that just being excited that we were going to do this, and I hadn't seen any footage yet. And I just said, this, I think, is what it could sound like. So I came up with that whole song and then sent that to the guys, and Aaron put the guitar part over that. And it basically, came to be what it is now. But that one was weird because I had not seen anything yet. I just had the idea that we're going to do a ninja film from '84, and I'm a big fan of everything from that era, ninja or not. So that just came to me. But then every other track, I watched the film and scored it to the film, and not thinking that I needed or we needed anything in particular. I just went along with the film and did what felt right, and whatever that was is whatever it was.
Yeah.
So not really any pre-planning, just going organically and thinking, this is what needs to happen here because this is what I'm seeing, basically.
And then you sent that stuff, and he was sending several emails a day with music. He just kept going, because the movie's an hour and a half, and we have about an hour and 20 minutes of music in it. So it just kept going, and I was getting all these emails, and I was like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know. I can't, like, how do I tackle all these guitar parts, adding them in with Steve's stuff? Like, where do I even start? And I was overwhelmed, of course, because it's like you're looking at a whole movie, and Steve had scored at that point, I don't know, 90% of what we ended up doing. I mean, 90% of the songs, maybe a little less, but it was still flying at us every day. And I'm like, all right, you can't look at it like that. You got to just take it scene by scene. Start with one scene and just, and so what was cool is Steve put the music to the movie, which still had no audio at that point, no dialogue, but it had the audio of our songs. So I could watch the movie and listen to the song that went along with it, which made it easy to sort of picture what should happen there. So I'm watching the actors, I'm listening to what Steve has, and I'm just fitting in the guitar where I thought it would belong, and accenting things that are on screen, obviously collaborating with Steve, and basically just treating it like, well, just pretend Steve's in the room. It doesn't have to be an email. It doesn't have to be any of that stuff. Just, what would you do if we were messing around and Steve played this? What would you play? So everything just became more natural, and going from like being completely overwhelmed, like one day I just said, okay, I'll just pick. I didn't start in the beginning. I just started with whatever scene he had sent. Maybe it was alphabetical, and I started coming up with stuff on the acoustic and recording it into my phone, so you could hear the stuff Steve had come up with, along with what I was doing in a real rough phone recording. And then I went to the next scene, and I started doing, like, I got into a rhythm where I was doing like 3 or 4 scenes a night. And I was like, all right, I guess it can work like that, So I just started sending the guys my stuff of those primitive sounding phone recordings and saying, what do you guys think of this? And there were so many ideas going back and forth, and we just all went with it. I mean, it was just, everything worked out, and then the stuff that I didn't fill every gap, every guitar gap. But when Greg was recording his drums, I was recording my scratch guitar along with it, like just a place marker to know where you are. We were recording together with masks, and and a lot of the stuff I was coming up with in the scratch track ended up being what the guitar part was. So that stuff was actually an organic moment of being in the room, at least with Greg at that time, and putting those things together. So everything, we never would have written anything like this normally, but everything worked out to where I think it sounds 100% like we were sitting there writing together. Like I fool myself when I think about it, because there are all these little back and forth things with the synths and the guitar and the drums and the percussion, and it sounds like totally natural to me. It doesn't sound, and none of that stuff sounds like it was created in a vacuum. It sounds like yeah, okay, you play your part, I'll answer back with this, and then you come back with that, and then we'll move on, and then we'll play something together and really solidify everything. So that's I can't even believe how well it came together, you know.
Right. So yeah, let's give the folks watching a little more background of New York Ninja, which of course plays later tonight, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Showtime Extreme. Now, the New York Ninja was originally written by John Liu, who is also the star and the director, and then also one of the owners of 21st Century Distribution, Arthur Schweitzer. He also helped write that originally. Then fast forward to when Curtis Spieler from Vinegar Syndrome was actually putting the film together. He did what he's coining redirected, because he had to make these choices to form the film on what it is today. So that was all his call, because nobody knows where pretty much anybody is who was in the original film, including John Liu. The best anybody knows is that he's living in Vietnam somewhere, and he did not want to have anything to do with this film. But side note is, I know I can speak for all of us. We hope that one day John Liu can see this film. You know, whether he hates it or loves it or what. I just want him to see it so that he knows that it was finished, and it was finished with, in my opinion, great TLC and respect and integrity. So I really want him to see this film if that's ever possible. So Curtis is dubbed the redirector, and he also wrote all the dialogue that you hear now. So kind of a joint effort between 1984 and a couple years ago, trying to put this together. So let me run down. Here's where we get to the characters. Are you guys ready to talk a little bit about the characters? Of course, we're not going to give any spoilers, but I came up with the little bubble, because there's a whole bunch of characters, but I'm just going to talk about like some of my favorites, or like the little just main chunk. So the good guys. Are you ready? We have John Liu, who plays John Liu in the film. He's also the ninja. This is not a secret. Then you have Randy Rydell, who is the big reporter in town, basically. And we actually do know who the actress is who played her. That's Adrienne Meltzer. And then it's also she's voiced though by Leanna Quigley. Then we have Jack, the cameraman. We don't know the actor's name who played him, but he's voiced by Vince Murdaco. And if you've watched a lot of Vinegar Syndrome films and other cult films like that, that name should be familiar to you. He's been in a handful of those films throughout the years. And then the other notable character is just the kid. We don't know the actor's name who played him, but he was voiced by Zihan Zhao.
He's got to be a grown ass man by now, Steve.
Yeah, right. I know, because like would you guess that he was probably 9 years old, 10? When that was filmed or so.
Yeah, about 10,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's getting to the end of his 40s about now. So would you recognize him if you even saw him? Who knows?
Nope.
Yeah. So then you have some notable police officers. You have Detective Jimmy Williams. Don't know the actor's name who played him, but he's voiced by Leon Isaac Kennedy, also a well-known actor in the genre films, cult films, and stuff that was released by Vinegar Syndrome in the past. Aaron, you actually, I think, didn't you see some of the films he was in, or you know about some of the films he was in?
Penitentiary. They were like these prison films that were really violent and really like depraved. Like they'd have these prisoners and they'd make them fight in these boxing matches that were brutal. And it was all about sex and violence. I remember being way too young to see any of that stuff and just being so freaked out because everybody's sweaty through the whole movie. And they're all like half naked. These dudes are half naked, and they're always fighting and fucking trying to kill each other.
Right.
In whether in the ring or in the cells.
Man, that's crazy.
Every scene is like the guard will accidentally leave this door open, and so 3 dudes will come in and they're all half naked, and they're all beating the hell out of some half naked guy.
Right.
Everybody's sweaty.
Is that because the guard like got paid off or something like that?
Oh
The premise?
You know, hey, this guy's got to go. Like you were never here, and
that's street
and
justice,
then the guy,
man.
Street justice in the prison, man. And Leon Isaac Kennedy was in 5 penitentiary movies, and they were really scary. And they're not horror; they're just scary when you're a kid.
Right. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check those
out. Scared Aaron straight.
That's right.
It kept me out of prison, man.
That's right. Another notable character is Janet Flores. Don't know the actress's name who played her, but she is voiced by none other than Cynthia Rothrock. Okay, now the bad guys. You guys ready? This movie has some of the most colorful bad guys, I think, in most of the films from that era. So they're all led by the Plutonium Killer, voiced by Michael Berryman. And I do have to say, he did such an outstanding job. It's creepy, it's sinister, it's unsettling, unnerving, right? All those things. He did such a great job.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then as discussed on the Blu-ray documentary of our music piece on New York Ninja, Greg's favorite, Rat Tail, who is basically Plutonium Killer's driver and sort of like, main henchman guy.
Bodyguard. His bodyguard.
Yeah, there you go. Now, we actually do know who played him. This is one of the latest ones that was discovered of actors who actually played people in New York Ninja. It's Richard Buckingham Clark. And it was voiced by Wayne Grayson. Then you have Freddie Cufflinks, who was voiced by Matt Mittler. You have Rico, who's another kind of bad guy, henchman guy, voiced by Darius Churchman. You got Switchblade, voiced by Tom Wayland. And another interesting, noteworthy bad guy, I would say, is Street Lion. And he was voiced by Lee Baptista. Just really colorful bad guys. Now, this is not even counting all the nameless kind of street goons. So if anybody has caught any reviews of New York Ninja or heard other podcasts talking about New York Ninja, you probably heard how everybody's talking about these street thugs and how they're dressed just absolutely ridiculous. The most crazy outfits, jock straps on the outside of pants, just to name a few things. Very cool. Kind of like, maybe a little bit like Warriors and other films like that.
Fencing masks.
Yes, absolutely.
Pantyhose over the face, makeup under the pantyhose. A lot of that stuff was done to obscure the fact that they were reusing actors over and over. Freddie Cufflinks plays more than one character. Rat Tail plays thugs a couple times. All the bad guys are reused over and over and just dressed up in different outfits and different makeup and stuff. So you can't really tell. But if you get used to these guys, you end up recognizing them a few times. So that was pretty cool. That's guerrilla filmmaking right there.
Yeah, exactly. Done out of necessity. They had no choice. They probably only had about 7 to 10 of those guys. But, in the film world, in the film universe of New York Ninja, you needed to have 40. So you just make it happen.
It's like in Aliens, they had about 6 actual alien suits.
Yeah.
And so anytime, you know, all those Marines are fighting all those aliens and they look like they're completely surrounded, that's just great, you know, photography.
Yeah. Movie
And
magic.
they're just using them over and over again and putting them in different places. Genius.
Yep. That's how you get it done, man, for sure. Even the big budget movies have to be frugal and efficient, for sure.
Yep. Nowadays, you just do it with CGI and you have 2,000 aliens because that's scarier than, you know, 25.
Right. Yeah, some big camera shot, and you know, there's an uncountable amount all climbing up a wall. You know, not as spectacular. I guess it is in one degree or in one way to look at it, like just sheer volume. But when the rubber meets the road, I don't think it's as impressive. I really don't.
Nope.
I mean, that's one of the charming aspects of this movie, in my opinion, is it just seems like they were doing it without permits, you know, kind of just like, you can tell there's shots with like people in the background that don't even know that like they're being filmed. And
they're just on their way to work or to a bodega to get some milk, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the sun's going down, they're shooting at the end of the day, trying to squeeze it in. And like, it's just, that's kind of, to me, like what's charming about it is how it seems like, you know, they're just trying to make it happen with like zero budget. So to me, that's one of the things that makes it so worth watching, you know?
Yeah, right.
It gives you hope that like, you know, anybody could go out and make a movie and have it be fun, you know?
Oh, yeah, especially nowadays too, because you don't have to buy reels of 35 millimeter film. Now, if you were in a pinch and you had to do it, just use your phone, and there you go. It's all about the creativity, man, for sure. So for anybody just joining us on this YouTube Live, we are Voyag3r. We are a band that we make music that kind of sounds like soundtracks, instrumental stuff, a lot of synthesizers, guitar, and acoustic drums. We have a bunch of albums out, but our latest album is actually a film score to New York Ninja. And New York Ninja plays later tonight, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Showtime Extreme. So we're here just for a little bit more, talking about the film in general and maybe some fun anecdotes or behind the scenes things or how we made the music to it and stuff like that.
Real quick, you want to know what's kind of cool is like in this world of streaming and all this stuff and all the things that are going on with the movie and with the band, I didn't know until now that it's actually playing on Showtime Extreme. It's not streaming, right?
Right. Yeah. This is just I think a one-time thing. It's not streaming anywhere that I'm aware of. It's just like a couple, like remember 2 weeks ago or whatever, it played on Turner Classic Movies. That was also not streaming. Like you could just go there anytime.
Yeah. I thought it was like, okay, it becomes available for streaming at this point, you know, and you can stream it with that. So it's actually playing. That's kind of cooler.
Yeah, it's more old school to me. Yeah. Like, hey, this is the time it's playing. Like remember back in the day, you got TV Guide, man, and you're like, oh, Knight Rider, Friday night at 7. I gotta be there. I can't not catch it later.
The difference is it is cooler, first of all. So I agree with you. And like Steve and I on the last one that we did the live on, you know, I made sure I congratulated Steve, you know, because we had made it to late night cable.
Right.
Sort of, you know, like we grew up on late night cable and now we finally made it. So but what's cool about this day and age is that you know, it's showing at this particular time on Showtime Extreme, but all you have to do is you know, everybody's got like unlimited DVR space now, right? Or, you know, if you've got YouTube TV, you can take whatever you want. So like when it was on Turner Classic Movies, I just looked it up. I did a search in, you know, on YouTube TV, found New York Ninja, set it to record it. And now I can go back and, you know, watch the credit sequence 100 times because it's like, you know, I love, you know, I won't give too much away, but I just love the way they did the end credits. You know, it just feels fun. It feels like such a definitive, like 80s style, you know, like the credits are just so much fun for me.
Oh, I totally agree. Hey, Greg, do we have any more, any questions or anything coming in on the chat or
nah, I see it. I think 5, you know, it says 5 watching now. I haven't seen any more questions. I think we answered Blog Jammer's question pretty, probably overkill.
We over answered it. We're pretty good at that.
Right
Yeah,
on.
we just gave up the keys to the kingdom, Aaron.
Right.
And
Okay.
I wrote my riff in the shower in my
Yeah.
head, and
Yeah,
I still won't tell anybody what it is.
That's right.
why?
That's
Well,
awesome.
I want to talk about that riff because that riff really brings it all together. Greg threw out this riff way early in the process.
Let's
I
not
think.
make more out of it than it is.
No, man, it's a big deal. Shut up. And he did you play it on a keyboard or something?
Yeah, like a little Casio.
Dude, I have
Little
Casio.
yeah, I played it on the Casio, and like Ange recorded it for me.
Yeah,
Like,
and
on
then I
her
remember I
phone.
got this video text of a little MOV text, and it's Greg playing this thing, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
man.
And he sent it to both of us, and I was like, oh man, all right, that's cool. I wonder if we can make that work. And then months went by, and I think Steve and I both forgot about it.
Yeah,
because we had so much music floating around. And then
30 tracks or 31 tracks, something like that.
Steve he wrote a song, or he wrote, his part for a song, and I was coming up with my guitar part, and I played it and I sent it to the guys. And Greg goes, "Oh, that's cool. You use my riff. That's awesome." And I'm like, "Oh, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, that riff I sent you guys." And I'm like, "Where?" He's like, "Oh, right here." And he talked about that part, and I'm like, "Oh, wow, yeah, you know what? That's pretty close to it." And it has just gotten into my head, like taking up rent, what did he say, Greg?
living rent free
in my head. And so I regurgitated out almost the whole riff, almost exactly like he wrote it, but a couple notes different. And he's like, "You can, those notes you changed are fine." I'm like, no. I'm going to listen to your riff again, and I'm going to play it exactly like you wrote it, so you can have that credit. So I went and found it again, and then changed the couple, like 2 notes, I think, or something.
Yeah, and
to
it still
make
fit in the scale. It still worked.
It completely fit, because Steve's riff that he had was kind of reminiscent of Greg's riff too. So really, it just kind of circulated through our heads.
It was an earworm. I passed an earworm.
Yeah, basically it was the
just like
baseline.
Rathacon.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Stuck that thing in your ear.
It was the baseline that would go to that is what it really amounted to. And then so Aaron naturally put that melody over the top of it, but almost what Greg had, but then he ended up changing it to exactly what Greg had, and boom,
exactly. And I don't know why we can't tell him what riff it is.
I don't think we should. Let's leave some mystery.
You know what? Yeah, you guys.
You know what? I'll say this: whichever riff they think is the best riff on New York Ninja, it's probably that one.
Aha!
Yeah,
there you go.
It is.
That way I can take credit for all of your stuff.
It's the best riff on the album.
Well, check this out. Before we get to the to probably the last segment of this, because we're getting close to an hour. I don't know how long we should be on.
Yeah, people are bored. Are they getting bored? I don't know.
Are they bored?
Probably.
But I want to talk about our soundtrack real quick and where you can get it, because a lot of people, who like these genre films and 80s stuff and all that kind of related topic, love the movie music, the score to film. So we have available the CD to New York Ninja and Shuriken Silver cassette of New York Ninja on our website, on our official store, which is Voyager3store.com, and that is Voyag3r store.com, and that's the silver. It's got a little sparkle.
Look at Aaron showing it off.
I know, man.
This is like QVC. You should have a little sidebar with the price.
Yeah. And then if you want the vinyl,
is this one gone? The green?
Yes, it is.
I think that one's gone.
Yeah, that's sold out. And the red,
I got it.
The red is also sold out. We did a Vengeance red and a Plutonium Killer green, and those are all sold out. So we have a limited amount of Shuriken Silver left. Then for fans of vinyl, there is only, the last time I checked, it's like in the 20s. So not many left at all. Vinegar Syndrome has a picture disc of the New York Ninja score.
I'll check right now.
That Death Waltz and Mondo, just put out on I think it was like about 3 weeks ago, something like that. And
was there halfway to Black Friday or something like that on Vinegar Syndrome?
Yeah, so
something like that.
there was like
I don't know.
500 of those, or was it 250, whatever it was, and so there's like 20 something left. So you got to get there quick because stuff on Vinegar Syndrome's site moves really quickly. So and we have a New York Ninja shirt as well that the artist that we commissioned to do our cover, her name is Suspiria, out of Toronto, Canada. We also had her do a T-shirt, so she did like a more of a sketch version of the ninja for the T-shirt, and it looks really cool. It's kind of sketchy art, type of look, and the cover is like movie poster style, full color, high detail, stuff like that. But okay, so here's what I thought of. I thought this might be fun because so many other movies have something like this. So I kind of thought of a New York Ninja version of it. So I don't want to call it necessarily a drinking game because, not everybody drinks, and that's okay. So you can either call it, what to watch for, or a drinking game, or once you watch this for the first time, you'll know what yelling "why" means. Like why. So you could yell "why" whenever you see one of these things, anything like that, or you can make it up. You can high five your friend, whatever. So things to look out for. So get a pencil, get your notepad out, or open your phone up, and keep track of these things, because if you see any of these things in the film, it'll be your trigger to do whatever it is you've chosen to do. Ready? If you see roller skates, you got that? Roller skates. If you see, excuse me, if you see a strange box marked danger, handle with care. If you see a newspaper headline, if you see red Speedos,
Oh, Lord.
if you see a clown mask at any point, if you see a dart firing pen, ta-ta, ta-ta, right? Yep. If you see a Kendo mask, Aaron mentioned that earlier. Yep. If you see a helicopter, if you see a car getting smashed, if you see a Shuriken, or, ninja throwing star, if you see a necklace, and lastly, on the list, if you see a phone booth. That's my list of things. If you see any of those, do your thing. What's the thing going to be, right? It could be anything.
Could be anything. It could be drinking a sip of Coca-Cola.
That's right. Yes, with some ice, so the fizz is hitting your nose as you drink it. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, and that's a lot of stuff to look out for.
I know.
That's cool, though.
While you're busy enjoying New York Ninja, which plays tonight on Showtime Extreme, later tonight, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I've given you the list of what to look out for, and I'll put these items in the description of this YouTube Live once it's done. But I think, you know what? One other thing is I know that people are going to be watching this tonight, which is awesome. Enjoy it, or tape it and enjoy it tomorrow, whatever. But don't forget that the company that made this whole thing possible, their name is Vinegar Syndrome, and they still have copies of the Blu-ray for sale on their site. So that's vinegarsyndrome.com, and I'll put the link to that too in the description. But the Blu-ray has, just killer artwork by like 3 or 4 different artists, depending on which version you get. There's like an outer cover, the box, the inner sleeve, the actual Blu-ray booklet.
Aren't they out of the deluxe one? I think they sold out of that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, well then
they might only have the standard version now. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so there'll be a little less artwork on the standard version, obviously. But it also has a second disc in there, which has a long interview with Curtis, where he gives even more detail about how he made the film and edited and chose what he did and put it together, all these things. We have a little piece on there talking about the music and more of what we talked about tonight. There's deleted scenes, outtakes, and even an interview with one of the guys who did effects on the film. They found him, and he gave some pretty good, insight as to what was going on back in 1984 when they were filming it. So definitely the Blu-ray is worth having if you're a fan of, this cult cinema, underground stuff, ninja films in general, or films from the 80s. Definitely just go to vinegarsyndrome.com and buy it, and you'll have it forever. Well, gentlemen, is there anything that we missed or that we need to mention
There are only 29 copies of the picture disc left.
Oh, okay. Thanks for checking. Yeah, 29 copies of the New York Ninja score that us, Voyager 3, did on picture disc vinyl that Mondo Death Waltz put out. So don't wait, because that's going to go to zero real quickly, I would imagine. So, yeah, if you want to know anything more about Voyager 3, our website is voyag3r.com. And we have live shows coming up. Check out our website for dates. We also do a podcast called V3Cast, which looks pretty much like what you're watching right now. And we talk about all kinds of films that we love, old and new, music that we love, old and new, D&D, different beers, different coffees, cigars, whatever. It doesn't even matter. I mean, anything cool that we love, we talk about it. All right, so don't forget, later tonight, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York Ninja plays on Showtime Extreme. Don't miss it.
Brew yourself a pot of coffee right now. Get ready to start drinking Red Bull. If you're like Steve, it's going to be a white monster. Oh, he's got it right there. There it is, white monster, right on cue.
That's right.
How is Monster not endorsing this podcast yet?
I know. I mean, I want to get like a flat a month. Can I get a flat a month?
Or the band.
Yeah. We need a few endorsements. We're giving a lot of free endorsements away because we're really into the stuff we're into, so we're always talking about it and we're not getting paid for it.
Right. Yeah, we don't really dabble. We either love it and we're all about it, or we don't know shit about it. That's kind of there's no middle ground.
No. We love it or we don't want anything to do with it. Case in point,
What about Scorpion Tabasco? We should be we should own stock in Tabasco.
That stuff is really delicious, man.
How about Funkos?
Oh yeah. Oh, Funko just bought Mondo Death Waltz, by the way.
That's crazy.
Just for a little, tie-in to everything.
Yeah. That's so. What does that mean? That Mondo's pockets will be bigger?
Yeah, basically.
3 Floyds.
They can do
3
more
Floyds
stuff.
Too.
Have a bigger reach and maybe incorporate, more of those two worlds together. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, would you guys love to see a Voyager 3 toy? I know I would. Maybe we could work out something with them. I don't know.
Like a New York Ninja Funko and a Voyager 3 Funko?
Or like a
New
Doom
York
Fortress
Ninja
skull
Funko would be,
or something like that.
Be awesome.
Like that. It'd be sweet.
Yeah, we need a 3 Floyds, Voyager 3 Floyds beer.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Yeah. Yep, because they have the best can art. So we would collaborate with some wonderful artist and it'd be
Second
all
to
about
none.
that can, man. Yeah.
We have so many ideas. And they're just out there. They're just right here circling around.
They're orbiting in low head orbit.
Right. All right.
All right, everybody, enjoy New York Ninja tonight on Showtime, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is Voyager 3 signing off, and we'll see you guys again soon.